The spiritual war is real. And it's important that you know that, because when you're in a rut or you're in a depressive state, you're feeling more anxious, more insecure, more doubtful, more fearful than normal. It's important that you know it's not always as simple as you versus you, you know? This is a super popular saying in like modern personal development culture. It's you versus you, you know, you're your own enemy. But I don't subscribe to that at all, because what you are is of divinity. You are of God. But there is, however, a force that exists that is older than time, and it's called evil. That's what you're up against. You see, and so while you're in this depressive state, you're in this rut and you don't know how to get out, and you're stuck in this endless loop of pointing at yourself in the mirror and saying, what the hell is wrong with you? While this evil, dark energy lurks in the corner, is having the time of its life because it has it exactly where it wants you. As it continues to fester in your subconscious mind and burrow itself within your spirit like a parasite and deprive you of happiness and fulfillment and joy and gratitude and excitement for life, to be better, to improve, to choose the path of good. You'll remain in that cycle endlessly until you wake up to the fact that there is another enemy in the room. In fact, you were never the enemy to begin with. You have to have your own back. Yeah, like, if you don't have your own back, then what are we doing? You know? And I think so many people, because of sayings like it's you versus you, you're your own enemy, like, it has people stuck in this dreadful cycle of thinking they're really the problem, when in reality, evil has festered itself within their subconscious mind and has programmed them to, like, reliably live based off a faulty foundation and continue to involve themselves in bad habits that lead them right where like, it's just this, you know, it's a really dangerous game to play. It's extremely dangerous. And so I just ask that you think to yourself, maybe this isn't just a rut. Maybe this is a spiritual attack. Maybe I'm under attack here. Maybe I have let some sort of negative energy, some sort of negative presence, force into my temple, into my life, and I've allowed it to fester for too long. And I've been pointing the finger at the wrong freaking person. Honestly, I think that 9 times out of 10 that will be the case. Because I don't think that you're really ever the problem. Like, you're never really the problem. The problem is that negative influences find themselves into your life. And if you allow them to control you too much, if you allow them to take up too much space, if you allow them to influence you too much, then it will kind of shift things deep within yourself and cloud your identity to the point where you don't really know how to operate like your true self anymore. And so it becomes very easy, you know, it's a very vulnerable state to be in. And so you find yourself forming new habits that are bad, new thought patterns that are bad, new presumed methods of action or behaviors or perspectives that are flawed and skewed. The good news is God is giving you the power to always win that battle. But half the battle is just realizing what the real enemy is, what the real opposing force is. It's not you. It was never you. And when you realize that, it's really liberating, because you realize, really, by that point, you've won the war. You've won it. Do you see? You know, in that scenario, it becomes a lot easier to find the fighting spirit within you to want to fight back. Because you don't want to fight against yourself. No one wants to fight against themselves. You have to have your own back. And so how do we fight back? Well, we need to flood our eyes and our ears and our senses with purity. And I think that there are, you know, I was going to say that it's pretty subjective as to what you find gives you a sense of purity, but I think that there are kind of universal things in, you know, music, for example. There's certain types of sounds and music, like frequencies, binaural beats, church hymns, or, you know, things like that, classical music, and that is perhaps uplifting or something like that, or motivating or inspiring, can give you a sense of purity, a sense of revitalization, a sense of healing. The same goes with food. If you're eating junk food all day, if you're drinking soda all day, if you're eating McDonald's all day, you know, like, and sugar, and you're drinking a ton of caffeine and nicotine, like, you're going to just feed into that negative energy more. And that might sound dramatic or like far-fetched, but it's not, because how you fuel your body really determines greatly, all backed by science, of course, I think this is well known by now, your cognitive function, you know. And that is what, like, if your cognitive function is being limited by what you fuel your body with, how do you expect yourself to, again, guys, we're fighting against an energy, a force that is older than time itself. Like, we got to take this kind of serious, you know what I mean? So let's skip on the McDonald's, let's skip on the Chick-fil-A for a little bit, and let's do whole foods, no added ingredients, and water. Let's try that. Sleep is very important as well. And I know all of these things might sound a little bit boring, but it's important that we don't skip over the basics, because you can do all the fancy stuff that you want, but if you're not getting enough sleep and you're eating like trash and you're listening to music that is awfully depressing and depressive, then none of the whatever you do out, like, it's just not going to work, because you don't have a foundation to stand on. So you have to get these things right. So you have to get 8 hours of sleep. That's generally what's recommended. Some people are like, well, 7's enough for me, or maybe I need a little bit more, whatever. 8 hours on average, okay? Just get enough sleep. Make sure you're being rested well. You know, make sure you're moving, you're exercising, things like that. Make sure you're getting sunlight. All the basics, okay? You have to do those first. And now if you want to talk about, like, real stuff, you need to be armed with the Word of God. And I refrain from talking about religion on my channel, because my message is not about religion. It's not about any one belief, or faith, I should say. And so what I'll say is, whatever belief that you have, arm yourself with the Word of God, because amongst many monotheistic and even polytheistic religions, many of the values and morals are very much the same when it comes to God and how to live a good life and what is good and righteous. So reading whatever religious text that you subscribe to will always be better than not reading anything at all. And so that would be my advice for that. It's something that I have really been working on in recent times for myself included. That's been an area of my life. You know, I'm very new really to the whole spiritual side of things. Well, not spiritual, but, you know, religious side of things. I'm very new to my belief in God. It's only been a few years for me, Most of my life I was an atheist, and then I was agnostic, and then, through self-discovery, I started to find an essence of a creator or God. And long story short, that's how I came to my belief. But, it's something I'm working on too. So if you have a hard time doing that, I don't want you to feel like you're behind the ball, or you're not doing enough. Just start from today or tonight and read a chapter, and I think that will be enough to point you in a better direction. And that's doable. That's within your grasp right now. That's within your grasp. And lastly, I want to say, make sure, everything has energy. Everything has energy. So again, whether it's the music you're listening to, or the food you're eating, or the people you're hanging out with, like the type of environments that you find yourself within, what kind of conversations are you having on a day-to-day basis? What are you watching online? It all carries weight and it all matters. We have this habit, especially nowadays, we're so desensitized to so many things, that we often think of many things that we see online as harmless or doesn't really mean that much. But that's not how it works. It all counts. All of it counts, and it all carries a certain type of energy to it. And if you're very reckless with the type of energy that you're inputting into yourself, whatever it may be, it matters. And if it's negative, it's going to add to that pool. So be cognizant, be intentional about what you're listening to and what you're influencing yourself with. And with these things in place, there is no way that you lose the spiritual war within your life. Maybe you've been in a rut for years. Maybe you've been depressed. Maybe you've been anxious. Maybe you've been fearful of something. Maybe you've had a regret or something that's just eating away at you, and it's causing you to not be able to live your life like you wish to live it. I advise that you really open your eyes to the spiritual war. Understand that you are not the enemy. It's not you versus you anymore. It's you versus evil. It's you and God. It's you and good. It's you and what is righteous versus evil. And all of a sudden, it becomes that much easier to stand up and do something about it. Thank you for your time, and I will see you soon.